So let me start with a strange question. Can a tennis match be one of the greatest ever played if it never even reached a fifth set? If one of the two players barely put a single foot wrong for over 2 hours? Normally, when we argue about the best matches in history, we picture these brutal 5-set fights, momentum swinging back and forth, both guys cramping and crawling to the finish line. But the match I want to show you today is nothing like that. This one is different. Because what happened on center court at Wimbledon in July of 2015 might not have been a fight at all. It might have been something rarer than that. It might have been the closest thing to a perfect performance you will ever see a human being produce on a tennis court. On one side of the net, you had Roger Federer, 33 years old, the second seed, a 7-time Wimbledon champion, with 17 Grand Slam titles already in the cabinet, walking out onto his favorite court in the entire world, trying to reach a 10th Wimbledon final. 10. Nobody in the modern era had ever done that. On the other side of the net, you had Andy Murray, 28, the third seed, the man who 2 years earlier had ended a 77-year wait and finally given Britain a home champion at Wimbledon. And this was his house. The whole nation was behind him. Up in the royal box, you had Bjorn Borg, you had Sir Alex Ferguson, you even had Prince Andrew, all of them there to watch the local hero try to reach another final. And here's the thing that made it so hard to call. These two knew each other inside out. Going into this match, their head-to-head was almost dead level, Federer leading by a single win. This wasn't a legend against a nobody. This was two of the best players on the planet, both playing brilliant tennis, both fully capable of winning. So on paper, this should have been a coin flip. A classic. Maybe even one of those 5-set epics we were just talking about. But without giving too much away, let me just tell you this. What Federer produced on this afternoon left even Andy Murray himself, one of the greatest returners the game has ever seen, standing there, shaking his head and looking up at the scoreboard in total disbelief. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why so many people call this the best tennis Roger Federer ever played in his life. And you're also going to understand the cruel little twist at the end, because as perfect as this performance was, it might still not have been enough. Now, real quick, if you enjoy this kind of tennis breakdown, do me a favor and tap that like button. And if you want more matches like this one, subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next one. Every single sub genuinely helps at this stage, and I appreciate you more than you know. All right, that's it. Let's get right into it. The very first game tells you everything, and it tricks you completely because Murray comes out firing, the crowd is roaring, and he actually earns a break point on the Federer serve. A break point in the opening game. And you can feel it, the whole stadium leans in, because if the home favorite lands the first punch, maybe this becomes the fight everybody wanted. So can Murray convert? Can he draw first blood right here? No. Federer wipes it away with a serve. And here's the incredible part, the part you have to hold on to for the rest of this story. That break point in the very first game was the only break point Andy Murray would get for the entire match. The only one. From that moment on, the door was simply shut and it was never opened again. Because what came next was a serving clinic unlike almost anything Wimbledon had ever witnessed. Federer just started picking corners at will. Ace out wide, ace down the middle. Unreturnable serve into the body. By the time the first set had crawled to just 3 games to 2, Federer had already fired 9 aces. 9. Murray said afterward he genuinely looked up at the scoreboard around that point and thought to himself, what on earth is going on here? And he's one of the best returners who has ever lived. So the question becomes, if you can't break this guy, can you at least hold your own serve and stay in the fight? And to Murray's enormous credit, he did. He hung in there. At one point, he dug in and fought through one of these absolute marathon service games, a game that stretched on and on for close to 15 minutes, saving everything, refusing to blink, and he held. The crowd went wild for it. It was heroic. But here's the quiet, brutal truth of the whole day. Holding serve wasn't winning. It was just surviving. It was just delaying the inevitable, because Federer wasn't giving him a single crack in return. Then came the first real crisis. Late in that opening set, Federer worked his way to set point. Murray saved it, ripping a forehand pass right past him, and for a second you thought, okay, maybe he escapes. But Federer just kept coming, and a few points later he floated this dipping backhand winner that Murray couldn't touch, and just like that, the first set was gone, 7-5. And then the second set was the exact same story all over again. Serve after serve after serve. Murray chasing shadows, never getting a look, both men holding until the pressure finally cracked. Murray opened once more, 7-5 again. 2 sets to love. By the third set, you could feel the whole thing slipping away from the home crowd, and it ended almost gently, almost sadly, on a loose Murray forehand that drifted wide. 6-4. Game, set, match, Federer. 2 hours and 7 minutes of near-flawless tennis. Now let me hit you with the numbers, because this is where it stops being a match and starts being a piece of art. 20 aces. 1 single double fault the entire match. His first serve percentage sitting up around the 80% mark for much of the day. 56 winners against just 11 unforced errors. And this is the stat that still doesn't feel real. Over the whole 2 hours and 7 minutes, across every single service game he played, Roger Federer dropped a grand total of 21 points on his serve. 21. And he faced exactly 1 break point in the very first game, which he saved. Even Murray, standing there beaten in his own backyard, couldn't be bitter about it. In his own words afterward, Federer had served fantastically, and apart from that one chance in the very first game, he never got another look, and yet he felt he hadn't actually played a bad match at all. And the verdict from the commentary box said it all. Tim Henman, a 4-time Wimbledon semi-finalist himself, simply tipped his cap and called it the best he had ever seen Roger play. And a day later, in his own column, Murray admitted that Federer had never served better against him, and that he sincerely hoped he never would again. So we come back to the question we started with. Was this the best tennis match ever played? Honestly, if you want a 5-set battle, then no. But if you want to watch a genuine master paint an almost perfect painting on the biggest stage in the sport, then this might be as close to flawless as tennis ever gets. But here's the twist I promised you. Here's the part that stings. 2 days later, Federer walked back out onto that same center court for the final, carrying all of that unbelievable form. And waiting for him was Novak Djokovic. And in 4 sets, Djokovic took him down and lifted the trophy. So the best tennis Roger Federer maybe ever played in his entire career, that near-perfect masterpiece we just watched, in the end it didn't win him Wimbledon at all. And maybe that's exactly why, all these years later, we're still talking about it. If you enjoyed this one, hit that like button, drop a comment telling me the best performance you've ever seen from Federer, and subscribe for more matches like this. I'll see you in the next video.